welcome back. Welcome back to my visual diaries. It's the 18th of February 2025. It's currently 1953, and I am recording this video as an update on what has been happening with my research and where we're going. Are we going left, right, center? I don't know. Wherever we're going. But yes, so as you know, this is my visual diary. This is part of my visual diary documentary type of vibe thing. I don't know. I'm just trying to record everything that I go through, everything that I experienced during this journey of my research. And as from, if you watched the previous video, you'd know that I don't have a supervisor. I'm not doing a course. I'm not nothing. I'm just winging this. I'm literally an individual who decided to just do this research. Hopefully one day I'll get enrolled into a good university, and get a certain university. They know themselves, certain university. I hope you're watching this. Because I want to go there. But it's fine. That university will take me one day. Okay, it will take me. Side note, it's Oxford University. Just for those who don't know, Oxford University better take me. But anyway, so okay, cool. So in today's visual diary, I'll just like to talk about what I've been currently doing in terms of my research, and also just to remind everyone, my research topic is mental colonization in the African film and television industry. So I'm just trying to deconstruct, reconstruct, decolonize, find out. I'm trying to just find out where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong in terms of everything in our African cinema? Like, what happened? That's what I'm just trying to find out. I don't know what my hypothesis is yet. To be honest, I don't have a hypothesis yet, but I'm looking for something, and I think I'll find it soon. I don't know what it is, but I'll find it. All I know is that I'm literally just being guided by my topic and what it is, what the words in my topic are. I just broke it down like word by word, and I'm like, okay, this is what it means. It means deconstructing, reconstructing, decolonizing, just finding out what happened. Colonial era cinema, just finding out where did our stories go and how are our stories being shaped today, and how did colonization have an impact in our film and television industry as Africans. So with that being said, I have been reading a book. I guess from my last video, I think I did mention, I've been reading a book called Reframing Africa. So Reframing Africa is a book on reflections on modernity and the moving image. So this book was written, or rather edited, by Cynthia, Kros, Reece, I'm still learning how to say this name, Auguiste, and Pervaiz. So Pervaiz is actually my lecturer. He was my third year screenwriting lecturer. So yeah. He's also part of it. I got this book from my film department at school. For those who don't know, I am currently a student doing my undergrad at the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm doing a BA honors in film and television, and we're hoping to graduate by December. Amen to that. Hallelujah. But anyway, back to this. So I've started reading this book last week. And it's been interesting to I'm only on chapter 1 because I'm writing notes at the same time. So it's like, it's a whole thing. By the way, these videos are not going to be perfect, right? So yeah, it's just going to be all over the place. But anyway, I've been writing notes. I even made like a nice cover page because I like color. I love color, and I've just been writing notes on like chapter 1 of this. I need to cover this book, to look a bit cute, but that's besides the point. So okay, so I'm just gonna, I think, before I start analyzing and talking about chapter 1, I'd like to read the first part of it, just not even the first part. It's just a part that I think will really set a foundation for what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go with this, and what realm I'm trying to seek, rather. So chapter 1, the Reframing Africa Audiovisual Project, a project concerning the African archive. So this is page 1. The name of the project, Reframing Africa, is predicated upon an established idea which sometimes struggles to be heard, namely that Africa is fundamentally a historical construction, a construct that has fixed and imprisoned its global presence as a geopolitical and historical entity. As several scholars have pointed out, the very name Africa, as it is applied to the landmass we now think of as the African continent, is a recent invention. It came into existence only a few hundred years ago with European imperial voyages of exploration, colonization, and economic extraction. This book proposes to address some of the ways in which Africa as a historical and cultural construct was produced through the medium of cinema, in which the moving image and the archives that is produced constituted a fundamental aspect of its becoming. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Let's dig in. So, chapter 1. So far, chapter 1, as you know, I've read that. If you let it marinate into you right now, it is true. It is true that Africa is a construct. It was constructed. It was created. You understand? So it was created in terms of, it was created through colonization. What Africa is today, it was created through, it was a construct. It was like an experiment. It's like someone came and decided, you know what, I'm going to experiment. Just like many other countries that were colonized, it was all an experiment. It's some sort of an experiment, because these people literally leave their home countries, go to these countries that are totally different to them, and when they get there, they experiment with ways of changing those people in order to become themselves. You understand what I mean? Am I exactly? So I think this statement that they're saying in here is that the statement that they're saying in here is very true, and also it makes me wonder though. It's making me wonder on the questions of, are we as people who call ourselves Africans also like a construct? Are we really who we are? Like, are we really who we were or meant to be? I understand as time goes, people change. I get that. I totally understand that. As life goes on, as we have a lot of, things that go on in our lives, a lot of things change, and a lot of, a lot of things shape who we are, who we become as life goes on. But are we still rather true and loyal to our original concept? So like, whoever created us, I don't know, whoever you believe created us, it could be God, it could be the universe, it could be, I don't know, something scientific, I don't know. Honestly speaking, my knowledge on where people come from scientifically, I have no idea. But yeah, I'm not very good in that. I have to research that also. But if we touch on the basis of who we are, who are we? Who are we as Africans? Because I think when it comes to film and television, we're trying to tell stories that show who we are as Africans. Stories that are they're very profound in where we come from. They're very loyal to our identity. So stories that tell who we are. So stories that explains where we come from, what we've been through, all the struggles, all the everything, like what created us to be who we are today, what created an African, what is the average African man or woman today made of. You understand? So I think the basis of storytelling, which is why I love it so much, is that it tells you that about a person. So a movie that I make doesn't even have to only be about in film and television, but like even books and art and songs. It tells you what I am, who I am, what I like, where I come from, what type of person am I. So it kind of puts me on a very different mindset when I think of it in terms of, and I think back to the fact that Africa was a construct, or is a construct that the colonizer created. You understand? So the colonizer created this construct. The colonizer created this land where he is in control, and all the people must strive to be him. And unfortunately, obviously, this is where racial tensions became a thing, because as much as he can make me him, he can make me dress like him, talk like him, walk like him, eat like him, do everything like him. At the end of the day, he can't change my skin. I'm still black. and he's still white. So I think that's where the race, that's what I think that's how, the whole racial thing became a thing, because we look at places like we look at places that are predominantly white, not even predominant, historically white. They were pure white people. There were only white people there, and those places still got colonized. And it's like the colonization in those places, it's not, we don't really hear much about it. We don't really hear much about it because it was a smooth sailing. It was a smooth operation because they already look alike. So the English looked at that person and said, we look alike when it comes to facial and everything and skin color. We look alike. All I have to do is change this person's mannerism, this person's way of drinking, this person's way of eating, this person's way of walking, this person's way of talking, the way they dress, their education. I just have to change that and make it exactly like mine. That's all I have to do. You understand? Whereas in Africa, it's a problem. Africa, just like the Caribbeans, it's a problem because it's like the Caribbeans and Asia. It was a problem because we don't look alike. So you are gonna change everything about me, but at the end of the day, what's gonna remain is that I am still a black person. I'm still an Asian person. I'm still, you understand? I'm still different. When someone looks at my picture and looks at your picture, you can't even say I'm your brother or your sister. We are totally different. You understand? So it makes me now wonder, on the basis of, are we really true to ourselves? Are we really true to ourselves? A lot of African people, they have this thing of, yes, I am African. I am, I'm African. I'm very, what is it? Pan-African. Like, I am all African, and you can't tell me anything. And it's like, are we really true to who we are, or are we true to the idea of who we are meant to be? So I think there's a whole another discourse, because when I say the idea of who we're meant to be, I'm talking about what we are expected to be. So I am expected to be a South African girl, right? I'm expected to be a young South African girl who's 23 years old and lives in Joburg, right? And I am a Pedi girl. I am from the Limpopo province. I am black. Understand? I am expected to be all African. I am expected to know how to speak my language, you understand? I am expected to be all African. You understand? And understand where I come from, and understand my ancestry, both spiritually, whatever. It doesn't matter, whatever. I have to understand who I am. But if we're being honest, as much as I think I know who I am, I still adhere to the idea that Western social people, the Western people rather, have of me. So I still adhere to that idea. So when I, for example, when you come across white people, and I've seen this with a lot of, not only, let me not say African as a whole, but South African black people, is that when we come across a white person, we tend to, it's either we code switch or whatever. But yeah, I know we all do those necessary stuff. We code switching, whatever. We all do those. But also we want to be authentic to the African image, at the same time pleasing the white image. So for example, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for everyone, I'm going to speak for myself. I've noticed the thing of, if I am surrounded by only white people, and they're speaking to me, especially if it's like white intellectual people, white academics, and I'm surrounded by them and they start speaking, I will make sure that they know that I too, I am very educated and I understand every single word that they're saying. And in fact, I can use bigger words than what they are using. So if I get into a room and they're talking about epistemology, they're talking about discourse, they're talking about the writings of Stuart Hall and the writings of Foucault. How do you say? Yes, Foucault. You understand? Like all those people, I will make sure that they understand that I also know them. And it's like, I do it unconsciously. I only realized later that I didn't have to really get into that topic like that. But I did it because for some reason I felt the need to do that. And it's like, I want them, but still, it's like in the same line, in the same breath. As much as I want them to see me as this educated and, more than You understand? I have defied the social construct of being a black girl in South Africa. I still want them to know that I am from the Limpopo province, ke Mopedi. I am a Pedi girl from the Limpopo province. I can speak my mother tongue. I know my praise. I know my ancestors. I know my clan names. And it's like, why? Why do I have this need to just prove that I am fully African, but at the same time prove that I know the Western world. I can survive in the Western world. There's this need amongst Africans to be able to survive in the Western world. There's this very big need that we have, that I need to be able to survive in the Western world. I need to be able to survive in the middle of Washington D.C., in the USA. Like if someone drops me in the USA, I must be able to say, yeah, I can survive. I can literally survive to this environment. And it's like, where does that come from? Where does that come from? And it all stems down to mental colonization. It all stems down to the fact that we as a people were colonized, and as much as we say we have overcome and we've become independent in whatever, at the end of the day, we still kind of like we're still forced to just keep it all in. There's still a lot that we still need to, like, get out, talk about, because we are still mentally colonized till this day. And unfortunately today, I feel like mental colonization is in ways that we don't realize. We think, oh, it's just that. So it's in our phones. It's in everything. It's in our television. It's in, obviously, television, film, our phones, everything. It's all mentally colonizing. And it's like, you watch a 2-second video, not a 2-second, but like, a 10-second video on TikTok, and the minute you watch that video, for some odd reason, after that video, you're a changed person. You don't realize it, but you are a changed person. You're thinking differently. You're doing something different. Do you understand? It's just, I find it really crazy. And I think that is a topic, or rather a part of my research, that I also need to research. So it's a research under a research. So I'm going to research also that on, like, how exactly are we no different to that colonized man in the 1600s? How are we no different? How are we no different to that colonized African man in the 1600s? How are we no different? And yeah, that's something that I also need to look in. But back to this book. I rambled on. But back to this book. So so far this book has been great. It's been good. It's chapter 1 has been touching on archives, so archiving, and I think that's a very good place to start. And it also gave me an idea that I need to, like, I'll start making like reaction videos on, like, movies and films that are, like, truly, African films and whatever, that tell African stories and all that. But like any African film, short films, documentaries, whatever I can find, I'm gonna watch it. And just for research purposes also, and also just for the enjoyment. It's really, I love film, I love television, and I think it would be nice just to indulge in that. Make this research more fun, make it more smooth and more fun, make me engage more with it. You understand? Because also, not having a supervisor, or rather like a course that I'm doing with this research, it's kind of hard, because now I have to, like, do it by myself, and, like, I'm not really that disciplined. You understand? As I'm not as disciplined as I would be if I was given deadlines by someone. So I don't even have a deadline. I don't have a deadline. I don't have anything. Maybe I should look into, like, maybe making deadlines for myself. But also, it's like, if I make a deadline for myself, I'm probably not gonna adhere to the deadline. So yeah, I will, but, like, there are times when I'm gonna be like, it's not like I have to answer to anyone. It's like being self-employed. It's kind of like, it needs a lot of discipline. But, that's another part of, the self that I need to work on, discipline, to make this work. But it's talking about archives. Chapter 1 talks about archives, and I think it's a really great topic to talk about, because I do really think that there's a lot of problems when it comes to African cinema, African materials as a whole, African materials being archived. There's a lot of problems because, first of all, we don't have the money usually, and secondly, it's like the people who are in power don't really care. there's a lot of negligence. And it is mentioned also in the book by what's his name, Akamfra. I think it's Mr. Akamfra. He mentions, is it Mr. Akamfra? Let me look at it. Let me not say wrong names. Make him, what's his name? What's his name? I'm so sorry, but I need to find his name again. His name was somewhere here, man. Oh, I'm too far. Oh, never mind. I was way too far. But yes. Not a Kamfra. You see, I was lying to you people. But his name is Gajigo. I don't know how to. I'm probably pronouncing it so bad, but it's okay. So Gajiko was talking about Gajiko received criticism rather. So Gajiko received criticism on the fact that he took Osamani Singini, the great filmmaker, my hero. I wish to be like him one day. So he took materials of Osamani Singini and put them archived them rather, in the University of the Lilly Library at Indiana University in the USA. So he received a lot of criticism because of obvious things. People are like, why are you giving the Western world our stuff? Why are you giving people had a problem with it? And his reasoning behind that was that, number one, the Senegalese government has a very high level of negligence when it comes to archiving art materials and whatever artifacts and stuff like that. They're very negligent, and they just seem not to care when it comes to film and television. So he was like, I'd rather take this material to a place where I know that it will be properly taken care of and properly used and not neglected, rather than letting it rot away and wither away in our African libraries where no one cares. You understand? And I'm like, I get what he's saying. I totally understand what he's saying, because I think as much as we're trying to reconstruct ourselves, decolonize ourselves, deconstruct ourselves, all of those above, as much as we're trying to do all of that, we are also just trying to make sure that our future generations, they know of us, they know of what we went through, they know of our stories. So as much as we are taking our material and putting it in the hands of putting it in the hands of the Western world, the same Western world that we're trying to shy away from, the truth is that is our only solution. That is our only solution until such a time where our governments, and rather the people in power, or whoever, anyone, just gives a damn. Okay, I'm sorry for that, but just gives a damn. So in the meantime, we will just stick to giving our materials away and hoping that one day we could be able to get them back and bring them back to their rightful grounds. But this book, I feel like, is going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting in making me understand how things are the way they are. Because there's a lot of things in cinema and television that I look at today and I'm like, why are we doing that? Especially when it comes to letting letting American people and European people take on African roles, especially when it comes to that, and also the uses of our languages in their films and how they use it. You see it in Black Panther, you see it in Woman is King, and it's like, I look at such movies and I'm like, great movie, great storyline, great everything, but I'm like, was it necessary to to use a language that, it's like if right now I decided as a Black person to make a movie about Indians, I feel like it's in the same breath. Like, we look at almost all the movies that were made about the late Nelson Mandela, and it's like, you want to tell me you could not find a Xhosa man to act as Nelson Mandela? You want to tell me you couldn't find that? You couldn't find a Xhosa woman to act as Winnie Mandela? You want to tell me you couldn't find that? And I ask myself these questions and I'm like, maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm not, I don't, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not in the industry. And it's like, at the end of the day, if we're being honest, it all goes down to capital and how much they're making. It all goes down to money. It all goes down to money. And it's like, hey, if Idris Elba is gonna give me money, I'm gonna put Idris Elba in my film. If Terrence Howard is gonna give me money, I'm gonna put him in my film. Jennifer Hudson, put him in my film. You understand? Lawrence Fishburne, hey, I'm gonna put them in my film. And I think that's another conversation that we need to have in terms of, I get it, money makes the world go round, but should we let people make money on, using our stories for the sake of them making money? Is money that important? You understand? And I don't know how I feel, but yeah. But anyway, so we're reading chapter 1, and we're gonna obviously continue with the book. We're gonna read chapter 2. We're gonna read what is it, every chapter that I read and finish, I'll make a video and tell you all about it, update you on what's happening. The book is good so far, and I also love the fact that I was, my lectures were part of the writing team. I love that, the editing team rather. And another thing that I need to update everyone on is that I've been thinking, I'm like, okay, this research is, I know in the beginning I said I'm just gonna make dissertation and then, or a thesis book, whatever, and then at the end it'll be that book and a documentary film. But also I thought about it, I'm like, yes, we're still gonna have the documentary film, the big documentary at the end, but I think we should also use this research journey as a way of trying to do our part in deconstructing and reconstructing. So I've been, I'm busy, trying to come up with ideas. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Maybe so far I'm thinking of just making films. Also making films, I think that adds films that are authentic and whatever. That will be adding on. I feel like it will be adding on. Probably maybe. Also, I have no budget for this research, so if I ever need to do anything that needs money, I don't know what we're gonna do with ourselves. But you know what, we will get there. We'll get there. I have a good feeling we'll find a way. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah. So making films, workshops. I feel like workshops, and I want to start doing interviews. So I was thinking of also doing interviews with my lecturer, finding out how he went about with the book, what was his process, what was his journey, where he is with his way of thinking right now, talking to some other people. I'm busy researching a lot of people who are more or less interested in the same topic that I am, and just trying to see where their heads are, what are they thinking, where do they want to go with their lives in terms of deconstructing the mental in African and television. Doesn't have to be only film, could also be just in the arts in general, because I think yeah. And also this book also kind of framed a little bit of my questions that I have, and I think these are questions that I can also use for my research. These pretty great questions. So the book itself is gonna I'm thinking I could get into it like this. So the first question is, why is the archive of the moving image and African archival materials in general of such importance to the continent? So I think that's a question we need to look at. Why do we really need to to archive this thing? Why do we need to keep our stories intact and all that? Number 2, what should scholars and artists be doing with or against the colonial archive? So colonial archive obviously is how I mentioned, giving the Western our archives and whatever. And what do we think the scholars and the artists should be doing? As what I believe, especially in the film and television industry, but again it also goes down to money. I still believe that we should try as much as we can to just make our own stuff and make them totally ours. So funding and whatever, try to not even get I know money is a problem, but just try to find ways in which we can fund our own projects. Exactly. And then number 3, the question number 3 is, how should colonial inscriptions of Africans in the archive be interpreted or written, and what could archives contribute to the rewriting of histories of the moving image in Africa? So I think also this I just need to go back into, back in time and think about everything. And yeah, this is a question that I think rewriting history is one thing that I think we should look into as Africans, because a lot of our history was written by the white man, and it's like, as much as it was written by the white man and it's probably like accurate to a certain level, it's still, yeah, there are a lot of aspects of it that are probably not even written well, and they're not true and whatever, exaggerated and whatever. But hey, we'll look into it. What does the alternative archive of the moving image look like, and how does it, or does it connote not only technological shifts but also radically transformed epistemologies? So yeah, I think VR is also another aspect that I need to do. I'm not very, keen on VR and AI, but I'll also look into that. It'll probably help me out. And then our last question is, what does all this mean in terms of developing and supporting critical pedagogies that answer to the needs of students on the African continent? So I think this also goes well with the rewriting history part. Just rewriting the textbook, trying to, make sure that the textbook is authentic and the textbook actually talks to the real owners of it. So the African child actually reading about Africa and how they are and where they come from and their history from an African writer. I think that's very important. So yeah, and then in terms of, I have a few ideas already. In terms of the films that I'm thinking of, putting together and mapping out is, so I was thinking a remake. So looking into remakes. So looking into what is it? Is it called remakes? When you recreate, not recreate necessarily, but like rebooting. Yes, I think it's rebooting an old show. So rebooting South African old shows, television shows, films. Even I think films are a bit harder, but I think television shows, especially sitcoms, I feel like in South Africa right now we don't have a lot of sitcoms. Even in the African landscape, we don't have a lot of sitcoms. We really don't. And I think the sitcom genre, not only is it amazing and fun to do and watch, I think it's also, a great place where you can share information on a more chilled and cool level. So I will look into that also. So far I'm thinking of doing mapping out a treatment for the reboot of Pelokism Pero. It's a South African soapy that ran for some time, and it was great. And at home we still watch it. We still watch the old one. I look at it and I'm like, a reboot would be great. And I think I already have like a few actors in my head that could do a great job on it. Obviously, I'll need to talk to the right people. Talk to Anthony Tobejani, or he's still alive. I don't know, but he was the writer of it. Anthony Tobejani was the writer. Look into maybe, meeting him if he's still alive. If he's not alive, I don't know. We'll find a way. Or, maybe looking into work, talking to SABC about it. I don't know, maybe making. So I'm thinking not even like making it long, maybe like a 13 episode type of thing, a limited series, a limited reboot, a 13 episode type of thing. And then the other idea that I had is making a biography film, a biofilm of Brenda Fassie, so the great legend Brenda Fassie, because I think we have all these bios of all these Western bios of like your Freddie Mercury's, your thing, your Michael Jackson's, and I think we can make one for Brenda Fassie. Let's start giving our legends their flowers. Let's start doing that. So I'm also thinking of like a bio for that. Obviously I'll need to talk to the people, do some research on that. As we are standing right now, I feel like this research is gonna be a very long one. It's gonna be a very long one because there's a lot of things that I want to integrate into it. So, such as making a whole bio about the great legend Brenda Fassie. That's a huge thing. That's a very big thing, and it will probably take me 2 years minimum, actually, 2 years minimum. So, yeah. And other ideas are just like short films that I think would be made under this research, short films, and documentaries. I'm thinking of doing like, documentaries, like biographic documentaries of like also my family, because I think I need to also start home. I need to also, look into myself also, and like where I come from. And, I think through this journey, I should also learn about myself, my family, my ancestry more, learn more about myself, understand who I am and where I'm coming from, and also understand my family and the individuals in my family and where they are coming from and how they grew up and everything. Just, so I can also teach my future children, my future whatever, to know where they come from, who their family is. And then I think that's it for today. I think for today, for tonight, that's it. That's all I can give out. We're still reading the book, and we're gonna start mapping up some short films, some documentaries, whatever. But I promise, next week we're coming back stronger. Next week we're coming back with something else, and more stories, more everything. So it's been great. It's been great. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching my visual diary. Thank you. Bye.